This video was made with one purpose: for you to understand how a 401k works so you can use it to your financial benefit. I'm Kyle Kuyat, and welcome to Personal Finance Explained. In this video series, we make personal finance simple so you can make more confident financial decisions. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you click like. It greatly helps me out. And if you want to see more personal finance content like this, make sure you go ahead and click subscribe. Today, we're talking 401ks. For most people, the majority of their retirement savings will be found in their 401k plan. So it's important to know how to use it to your advantage, not just for retirement, but also for today. First, we need to understand what a 401k plan is. The 401k plan is set up by an employer, and it's among the most popular retirement plans in the US. However, most people that have one aren't necessarily sure what they have or if they're doing the right thing with their plan. If you're watching this video, chances are you're already eligible for your 401k plan, but just to be sure, here's the rules. The general rule of thumb is that employees must be at least 21 years old and have at least 1 year of service at the company. However, some employers may have less restrictive eligibility requirements. Now that we know that you're able to contribute, how much can you put in? For 2024, the contribution limits into a 401k are $23,000, and if you're over 50, you get an additional catch-up of $7,500. It's important to note that the money that goes into your 401k plan is coming out of your paycheck, so you may also be limited depending on how much you earn. You may have heard the term 401k match. A match simply means that whenever you put in money, your employer puts in money. A match can have a significant impact on how much money actually ends up in your 401k plan, and more importantly, in your pocket. When it comes to matches, there's a lot of variation, but there's a few things to look out for. The first match is 100% of a number. So for example, let's say that you have a 6% match. A full match would be 100% of 6%. A half match would be 50% up to 6%. And then of course, there's no match at all. So just how much of a difference can a match make? Let's find out. So for our example, we're gonna say that you have a 100% match up to 6%, a 50% match up to 6%, and then no match at all. We're gonna say you make $100,000 a year for easy math. If you put in 6%, that's $6,000 a year. And with a 100% match, your employer also puts in 6% or $6,000 a year, meaning your total contribution is going to be $12,000. With the 50% match up to 6%, you're still putting in your $6,000 a year. However, with only 50% up to 6%, that would be 3% in this example. So your employer is only putting in $3,000. But hey, it's still a match. So you'll have $9,000 as a total contribution into your plan for that year. In our last example, we're gonna assume that there's no match at all, but that you're still putting in 6% or $6,000 a year. On the surface, it may just seem like a few $1,000s, but let's look at the long-term difference of having a match. So let's first look at the whole match. We make $100,000 a year. We put in 6% of our salary or $6,000 a year. Today, we're 30 years old and we plan to retire at age 65. And again, just for easy math purposes, we're gonna assume an 8% average return. Assuming we didn't have any money in our 401k today, but we just started and we wrote out our full employer match, we'd have over $2 million in retirement. Here's what that same example looks like though, with only a 50% up to 6% match. Assuming we did the same exact thing on our end, by our employer not matching the full 6%, it cuts our retirement down by almost $500,000. Even worse is no match at all. In our example, there's over $1 million difference from having a 6% full match to having no match at all. So that's why it's extremely important to not overlook your employer match. Next, let's talk about investments inside of your 401k. When it comes to 401ks and the investment choices, not all of them are the same. Your favorite restaurants don't all have the same menu, and neither do 401k plans. Before making any investment, there's always multiple things you should consider. However, inside of a 401k plan, these are the two most important. The first is risk. If you look inside of your plan, equity funds are going to carry more risk than bonds because equity funds have a higher return profile or a higher potential return. That being said, another thing to look at is cost. Index funds are typically to be cheaper than something that's actively managed inside your 401k, so I encourage you to look at all of your options for both of these. Vesting schedules determine how much money in your 401k is actually yours to take with you. There's a difference between your vested balance and your actual balance. Most retirement plans have vesting schedules, so it's important to make sure you understand yours. The first is a graded schedule, which I think of as a set of stairs. Each and every year, you're gradually getting more and more vested. For example, in a 6-year graded schedule, after 6 full years, you'd be 100% vested. The cliff is more of an all or nothing. A 3-year cliff means you'd be 100% vested after 3 years, but in years 1 and 2, you're not vested at all other than what you put in. So it's extremely important to make sure you understand your plan's vesting schedule. Typically, 100% of the employee contributions, aka the money that you put in, is 100% vested as soon as you contribute it into your 401k plan. However, the vesting schedule applies to the money that your employer put into the plan. I get the question all the time, is a Roth 401k better than a traditional 401k? And as any good financial advisor would say, it depends. But there's a few key factors to consider. Let's compare the two.
Unlike a Roth 401k, which is going to be funded post-tax, your money going into a traditional 401k is coming directly from your paycheck, which will reduce your taxable income. Let's see how that works. So let's say that you make $100,000 and you contributed $6,000 into your 401k. That would reduce this year's taxable income to $94,000. Assuming an effective tax rate of 25%, that would be a tax savings of $1,500 this year. Traditional 401ks are going to grow tax deferred, which means we're not paying taxes today, but we will pay taxes later. Whereas Roth 401ks, because we already paid taxes on them, are going to grow tax-free and come out tax-free as long as we follow the right rules. So let's talk about those distributions. In a traditional 401k, distributions are going to be taxed at your ordinary income rates in retirement whenever you pull that money out. Of course, we don't know what those tax rates are going to be in retirement. Tax law can change. A lot of things can change, especially depending on how far out you are from retiring. Conceptually, if we believe that your tax rate was going to be lower in retirement, then we would rather contribute to a traditional 401k because your money is going to be charged a lower tax rate, assuming that you had a lower tax rate in retirement. But maybe you're in a lower tax bracket today than what you believe you'll be in retirement. If that's the case, then a Roth 401k would typically be better. A Roth IRA has income phase out limits. Simply put, that means if you make too much money, you can't contribute to a Roth IRA. However, there's no income phase outs on a Roth 401k. So even if you're single and make $500,000 a year, you can max out a Roth 401k, which is a huge benefit because that means tax-free income in retirement. Another question I get all of the time is, if I change jobs, what do I do with my old 401k? Now, I have a separate video I'll link down below that goes over all of these options in detail, but high level, here's what you need to know. If your new employer offers a 401k plan, you can transfer your old 401k into your new 401k. Oftentimes, people like to consolidate and have everything in one place, and this gives you the chance to be able to do that. Another thing you may want to consider, though, is if the new plan has higher fees or better investment choices than your old plan. Make sure you're comparing the menu of each one of these. Also, if you move the money into your new 401k plan, you could still contribute to it. And as we mentioned earlier, you could put up to $23,000 a year for 2024. If your new employer doesn't offer a 401k plan, or maybe it's just not that great, you can also roll it over into an IRA. An IRA is an individual retirement account, and rather than having a limited menu of options as you typically would in a 401k plan, with an IRA, you can have a lot more investment flexibility. However, keep in mind, the contribution limits to an IRA are much lower than a 401k. Your last option is to just leave it where it's at. The reason you may choose to do this is that your old plan was better than your new plan. However, keep in mind, if you want to contribute to this plan, you'll no longer be able to do that since you don't have any earned income with the old company. The opposite of consolidated is complicated. And if you have multiple jobs over the years and have multiple 401k plans, your financial life might get a little bit messy. So just something else to keep in mind. So I hope that helped you. Make sure if you have any questions, you comment down below and I'll do my best to answer them. If you'd love to see more finance content like this, make sure you go ahead and click subscribe.